So originally, this activity was designed to really be offered in two cycles. There was going to be two workshops. They would be 90 minutes each. And the first workshop would be teaching reading with Reading Apprenticeship. And that would be offered on one Friday from, like 4 to 5:30. And then the next month, there would be another one. 90 minutes again on another Friday, and that would be teaching writing with Reading Apprenticeship. And then they would repeat. So the next month, go back to reading, go back to writing. And hopefully I can secure financial support to offer this as a college-wide training starting next semester. And it would be a repeatable training. So every month there would be a teaching reading with Reading Apprenticeship, and then the following month, a writing with Reading Apprenticeship. But what we had to do for this one was we ended up just having one 3-hour workshop. And this is the description here. So, the workshop, like it says, it showcased activities to promote students' reading comprehension, critical thinking, and writing with an emphasis on synthesis. And that's really important, certainly for colleagues who teach English 100 or 101 or even 45, where not only should we be focusing on reading comprehension skills, and as we all know, reading, writing, and thinking go hand in hand, but we should really be focusing on synthesizing sources. And so that's what's great about Reading Apprenticeship. And then there were 4 facilitators: myself, Sarah Hawes from Reading, Aaron Harold from English, and Adrian Peak from English. We led attendees through hands-on activities, so very, very little lecturing. It was mostly learning by doing. And then when they left, they actually had a big old packet of additional resources. And now, if Reading Apprenticeship, if this is something that is new to you, broadly Reading Apprenticeship, what that means is it's a way to teach. Originally, it was a way to teach reading comprehension and critical thinking. However, now it's expanded to also, as a pedagogy, to also teach writing as well. So reading comprehension, critical thinking, and writing. And as you can see, there are 4 different dimensions to Reading Apprenticeship. So there's a social dimension, and that's really, having students work together, also realizing that that readings or texts, they often overlap with one another. Personal dimension, that we all have an identity, we all have beliefs, and we carry those with us. This idea of knowledge building, the more we read, the more competent we become in that subject, or the more knowledge we have, which helps us maybe strengthen our reader identity, and also helps us with that social dimension, being able to share our knowledge and build on our relationships with people. And then there's a cognitive dimension as well. And that's really just being able to, I like this one here, being able to be a good problem solver. So avoiding going to the dictionary the first time you get stuck, And what brings it all together is this idea of metacognition, or thinking about thinking, which we rarely use that term to students because we want them to focus more on the process of metacognition rather than the term. But metacognition and just being aware of knowledge, how knowledge adds to our identity, to how we interact with the world and with ourselves, how we, as we build knowledge, we become more experts and authorities, we gain power or capital, and how we also become more adept problem solvers. That's really what Reading Apprenticeship is all about. And broadly, this is what, I have too many things. Broadly, this is what we did across the 80 minutes. So as you can see, we didn't waste any time. These were all the things that people left with. So they left with a bunch of ideas, a bunch of hands-on activities that Aaron and Sarah and I did. And one of the activities, just to show you quickly, and I'll wrap things up, is how to use this evidence interpretation chart. And you can do a variety, it has a variety of uses. You might use it to be able to teach, in this case, the difference between analysis of a quote versus summary. And so in this particular case, here's a quote: "Mixed race blacks have an ethical obligation to identify as black," according to this individual here. And we want the reader to focus on analysis, so not just summarizing what the author said. And so this might be an activity where you ask the reader, which one of these is analysis rather than summary? Okay. If you guess that one, you get the prize. Okay. And then we do the same thing here as well. Okay. And so the idea is that this allows readers then, as they are introduced to analysis, that you might ask them to find quotes from a reading, which they would write here, and then you have them interpret it. That's one way you can use evidence interpretation. Here's another way. I like to use this in my literature class. And that's the cool thing too about reading apprenticeship, is it's not just for what we used to call basic skills or remedial education, but rather you can use it in all of your courses. I use it in all of my literature courses. I use it in 100, even in 101. And so this is when, the very beginning of the semester, I teach students to start to really analyze literature. And so they write this line down from the poem, and then they begin to kind of analyze it. I may not use the word analysis at this point because I don't want to turn them off, but I might just say, hey, what are your thoughts, feelings, or connections, And you get a variety of responses. And something else we did was how you can use, so that was for reading comprehension. Now this gets more into writing, how you can use this thing called a triple entry journal to really build, a quote sandwich, as we say in the business of writing, or even a claim, like a topic sentence with some evidence, and then explaining that evidence, which, as you all know, certainly if you teach writing, students have a hard time with that. And so the triple entry journal activity breaks that down. Here's your claim. Here's the evidence or the quote you're going to use. And now you're going to unpack that. And then I give them an example of something I would do. This would be for a Shakespeare class. And then if I were to put this together in a paragraph, that's what it looks like. And so it's nice in that regard. And then it's even useful to show students, I use this in 45 and 100, it's a little different, how you start to respond to a reading. So this is the quote, rather than before we had a claim or a topic sentence. This is just a straight up quote. And now I'm going to paraphrase that quote rather than providing the evidence like I did originally. And then I'm just going to write, 2 to 3 sentence response. So this is a good way to teach a quote sandwich. Okay. And then, we did a bunch of other things, but hopefully you get the gist of it. This was a